Okay, welcome. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Rewilding the Garden session with me, Danu, and my beautiful friend, Vanessa. So today we're going to be exploring our new program that's coming up in September, which is a combination of an entire gut microbiome reset protocol fusing with an elemental immersion, which is assisted with microdosing psilocybin. So both of these two journeys we have created on our own and have been serving them for years. And now we're bringing these two things together, which kind of amplifies the whole experience and gives a kind of multi-layered approach to healing. So to really get us in the zone and in a right frame of mind, we're just going to drop into a meditation, which we're going to open the space with a prayer. As we work with plant consciousness, we like to work with this idea of multidimensional consciousness, working with allies. So prayer is quite an important aspect of this journey. And then we're going to move into a little bit of sharing about what this involves. And then we're going to have some time for any questions and answers. So the invitation for the next 20 minutes to half an hour is to just get really comfortable. Like you can just really relax and receive and just use this nice little time to just relax into the body, close the eyes. So we're just going to go on a little meditation. And so just turning the gaze inwards as you close your eyes and you settle down, just taking a moment to just catch up with yourself. So I like to start my meditations with a little just check-in before we moving to change anything. So just notice as you scan your body from head to toe, just noticing, how is my physical body in this moment? Just getting curious without needing to change anything. And just noticing if there's any areas of tension or constriction or tightness, or just notice where your actual consciousness lands in your body. Just see if you can invite in 3 nice deep breaths into that part of the body. And as we start to slow our bodies down and we start to check in and listen to our physical body, which is going to be so much part of this journey together, is really getting still and learning to really listen to the body, which is always trying to communicate with us. And learning how to feed and nourish this beautiful body, this intelligence that we have. Yeah, often giving so much power to the mind. As we drop into the somatics and we feel the physical body, we can make space for our emotional bodies. So what feelings need to be felt? What feelings are maybe sitting there that haven't had any attention? So just relaxing into the physical body, getting curious and asking yourself, how am I feeling? What feelings are present? And can I just sit with my feelings and just feel them for a moment? And often it's not the feelings that are the problem, it's the stories that we wrap around our feelings, what we make them mean, that stop us feeling our feelings. So if we just let go of the mind, just notice if the mind is operating strong. The mind loves to live in the algorithm of past and future, just constantly creating the same reality on an infinite loop. And we want to break that loop by just removing the stories, removing what we make it mean, and just being purely in the sensations, just experiencing emotions as energy in the body. And any emotion given time will turn itself into bliss. So much of our practice is just really learning to create safety within our realities, to really just sit and allow what is to move through our bodies. And again, just noticing any emotions that are present and just inviting the breath in 3 times, just really breathing with what is. And then dropping into our heart space. So you can place a hand on your heart, or you can just tune into your heart. And often this beautiful energy center within our systems gets put in second place to our mind's decision-making process. And so as we drop into the heart space, we can just tune into it just as a physical organ at first. Just notice if I just even tune into the heart, can I feel the heartbeat? And I just become aware of this part of my body. Can I breathe with the heart? Am I holding my breath? Can I allow a bit of relaxation and spaciousness around my heart? And maybe if you're attuned, you might be even able to sense how the heart is doing. You know, maybe it feels a little bit closed. Maybe it's feeling tender. Just notice if my heart could converse with me, if it could let me know how it's doing, what would it be saying to you? And then dropping our hands down to our guts, to this beautiful part of our body, all of our sacral energy, our solar plexus of our stomach, and just moving into this part of our body that we'll be working with so much on this journey. The intelligence of this part of our body, and just tuning in again, just to the physical part. Just noticing if you place your hands there. Just how does it feel if you tune into that part of your body? What emotions, what stories emerge? And then here, from here, placing one hand on the heart and one hand on the gut, just feeling the relationship between these two areas. So just noticing, is there a sense of coherence? Or there might be a kind of like almost a feeling like they're separate entities, they're not really in communication. And so much about the health of our microbiome, this idea of rewilding the garden, is about learning to bring everything into harmony, learning to bring all communicational channels between the plants, the insects, the soil, the trees, the birds. Just like we look to nature as our living ecosystem, we too have a living ecosystem within our beings. And everything has its purpose in place. And as we start to bring our attention and intention into our bioforms, we can start to listen and tune in to what it is our body is asking of us. And learning to really live and sit within the physical body, really drawing our attention down into the roots, to our root chakra. We're just going to really earth ourselves before we begin into this, into the mind and the conversations and the stories, by just imagining on the next breath, you're going to breathe in like roots of a tree, and you're going to really breathe in those roots into the bottom of your being, breathing in. And on the exhale, you can just allow yourself to surrender down through the root system, extending that root system a little bit deeper, really anchoring here into the earth. And again, breathing in. And just as you start to breathe with the root, just allow everything to slow down. Allow gravity to pull you down into the seat. Allow your nervous system to relax. Allow all the muscles in your body to relax. And just giving yourself full permission to just be still, be here. Taking some time for you to just allow everything a little bit more spaciousness. And from this place, we let go of effort, we let go of trying, we let go of pushing and pulling. And we open ourselves to receive. And from here, we're going to just open with a short prayer. And anything that I say that isn't part of your belief systems or doesn't resonate with you, just don't bring it on board. Let it go. And if there's anything that's important to you that I haven't shared, please bring that in. And the idea with prayer is to put out a call into the cosmos, into the earth plane, to help hear our intentions, to help guide us back into unity through community, so that we can find coherence once again with this beautiful living world and find our place amongst it, and rebalance our internal systems so that what is external matches what is internal, what is above matches what is below, as we alchemize ourselves back into right relationship with all that is. And find that there is a web of coherence and intelligence available to us, should we allow ourselves to trust the process that wishes to weave through us and connect us once again back into remembering the intelligence that we are. So we call upon all that holds us, guides us, loves us, and protects us. We call in all the unseen and the seen realms. This beautiful living planet Gaia. We call in the intelligence of all living sentient beings. And we ask to remember, help us to reconnect and remember what it is to be in harmony with this beautiful planet, with ourselves and with each other. Help us to clear and heal those internal divides, the war that rages within, and help us to be the change we wish to see in the world. We call upon the plant kingdom and all the beautiful living mycelium, the beautiful foods that nourish us, the trees, the fruits, the seeds. We call upon the abundance that is life giving to us, and we give thanks for the privilege and honor to live in times we have access to so much support. Help us to attune and tune into all that is here for us and to take radical self-care of our systems. Help us to purge, release, and cleanse that which no longer serves us, to make space for more clarity, light, trust, love, and a sense of deep interconnectedness. May we let go of all artificial support systems, stimulants, and false belief systems that seek not to heal us, but to keep us trapped in an endless loop of slavery and scarcity. We call upon Father Sky and the cosmic web of intelligence to help guide us to a higher way of being. Help us to remember to use the intelligence of our bioform. Help us to come online and help us to remember the advancement of our intuition and our instinct and all the subtle decision-making tools that are available to us when we feed and nourish our body. I give thanks for all that has gone before and that all that will come from this experience. And I pray that Rewilding the Garden will be a haven for not only awakening, but healing and remembering and returning once again to your birthright of this beautiful incarnation, what it is to live in a body, what it is to have the gift of life. May we be grateful. May we serve ourselves so that we can serve others. And may we return once again into our highest potential that is available to us this lifetime. And so it is with greatest reverence, as above, so below, as within, so without. And so it is. Amen. And just taking a little bit of time in this space of sacred energy, a space just for you to really think about if you could set an intention. An intention is often linked to a vision, a place where we can anchor and have a bow and arrow that shoots into the future and gives us a trajectory, a direction to travel upon. Where do I intend to go? And when we have an intention, the whole universe conspires to bring that into fruition for us. And it helps anchor us when times are challenging. It becomes our anchor in a stormy sea. And so if we set an intention for ourselves, we will follow a healing path. And that healing path is motivated by a vision for ourselves of who would I be? Who would I be if my microbiome, my internal flora and fauna, my internal garden began to rewild, if I returned to homeostasis, just like nature outside of ourselves? Imagine if we just removed all the interference and we allowed the jungles and the forests and the rivers and the lakes and everything on Gaia just to be in harmony. It all works. Everyone has its place, as too is that mirrored in our internal body. So imagine a wild garden within yourself. Imagine yourself, your cells, your organs, your heart, your brain, your wombs, your testes, your sexual organs, your limbs, your bones, your internal waters, your minerals. Imagine your system working in harmony, being able to assimilate and digest life, being open to the abundance of creativity. Just imagine how it would feel if you find yourself in this space where your cells are happy. And just take a moment to just imagine how it would feel, maybe even how your life might look. If we can't dream it, we can't create it. Feel yourself imagining getting old, not having to be in and out of hospital all the time, not dependent on a healthcare system, being the healthcare system. Imagine having resilience and capacity within your system to deal with challenges, to improve your baseline so that you're able to achieve more, rest more, love more. Imagine finding yourself in your purpose, life with meaning, understanding the bigger picture. Imagine the play and the fun and the silliness of life if you're able to be lighter, able to digest life. And so then bringing yourself back into the space, maybe having a little stretch. Taking some nice deep breaths. And so much about the work that we're going to hold space for is a space of bringing you into this kind of state before we go into any kind of teachings, any kind of processing, any kind of mental stuff. Because when we're in this place of relaxation and openness, we are able to digest and take on information a lot easier. And it also brings in this idea of, rewiring how we learn. Yeah. So we're going to do a little introduction. So I've been talking a lot, so I'll let Vanessa just give a little bit about who she is, where, whatever you want to feel like, just a little, so people know who on earth are these two people talking to us about all of this stuff.
Okay, there's a deep meditation, so I'm just kind of recalibrating. So yeah, I'm Vanessa, and I just label myself a naturopath and a nutritional therapist. And it's been a long journey, and actually started when I was very, very young. Actually, I've had a relationship with food from the word go, from being a cesarean born child, living on junk food through my teenage years, and then having quite an awakening with food, where I realized food was medicine at about the age of 23. And that just shifted everything for me. And that's just been an ongoing journey with the amazement of when I fuel my body and I feed myself, nourish myself, assimilate the food, I digest my food, how amazing I can feel. And it's been something that's just been the thing I do practically my whole life. And so yeah, and now I have an online clinic, and I work with people doing this particular program that we're coming together to do. So I've been working with it in a one-on-one context for a very long, maybe about 3 years, I think it's been. I can't remember, 2020, I can't remember. So something around 2 years it's been going. And now it's kind of coming into this really interesting collaboration, if you want to call it. But it'll probably take a life of its own at some point. But it's just interesting to see how we can merge these two worlds together and go deeper with this work. And because just working with the microbiome, so much can happen already. So yeah, beautiful. I think that's enough, right?
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. And you're from South Africa.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I am.
So we got South African and the Irish here. So my name is Danu, and I have been working in the field of shamanic, animistic, paganistic self-development, wellness since my early 20s. And food was also my first career. So I trained as a chef when I left school, and I thought, oh, this is great. I'm just going to eat my way through life. I loved food from a little girl. It was always an obsession. And I actually had the privilege of growing up with parents where that was probably the healthiest thing in my family dynamic. So I have a good general relationship with food. And as I got into working with plant medicines, which is now really kind of the foundation of what I work with, not just psychedelics, but also plant consciousness, this idea of more of the spiritual and emotional, physical interconnectedness of healing, and how it's quite difficult in my experience to heal unless we have a spiritual path. And for me, that can be whatever shape you want to take it, but it's this idea of moving out of separation, out of being just alone as a singular thing, into this interconnected, supported living ecosystem that we are, not only as individuals, but as a species of humans within an organization of life. So the medicines have very much taught me that. And in my first my kind of bedrock course, or the space that I started the Garden of Alchemy with, was a process called the elemental immersion, which was a 7-week microdosing with psilocybin process. And I was very interested in creating this because I had been doing lots of psychedelic journeys, and a lot of them didn't prepare me or integrate me from the shock of what it would be like to work with psychedelics. And I realized that in microdosing, with intention and putting container and ceremony around things, that I could actually make more changes using much smaller doses with intentional. So we created the microdose course, and it's based on the elements. So the 5 elements, so earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And each element asks us to be in a like ceremony that week. So as we microdose, we're in the week of earth, we're very much looking at our relationship to stillness, to the season of winter, all of those things. And so I started working, Vanessa's an old friend of mine, but I started working with her gut protocol about two years ago, maybe.
It was a year ago.
Year ago.
So
Well, I've
took you
done,
through it.
yeah,
I've taken you a few times.
Yeah, so I think I've done 4 times this protocol that you're doing. And the last time I did the protocol, I finished on a 3-day water fast, and I did a psychedelic journey on the water fast. And it was by far the cleanest, most beautiful, most impactful medicine journey I've ever had. And I felt super motivated to create a kind of diet, a / preparation for mushrooms. So we started to talk about like, actually this would be, because with mushrooms, it's unlike ayahuasca or other medicines that have a kind of food protocol. There isn't something attached to it. And I wanted to work with something more contemporary. I didn't want to like base my diet protocol on something that came from indigenous times, because I believe that our systems are dealing with trauma, dealing with toxins, dealing with lots of different things that our indigenous past wouldn't have had knowledge for. And so Vanessa's amazing protocol, which is just so sensitive and so considerate of the system, while at the same time driving a really deep and can be challenging process, felt like in real alignment with what I'd created with the elemental immersion. So we're fusing them. And so we sit, just the 2 of us have just done this protocol together to see how it dances together. And it has been one of the deepest journeys that I have done. And I kind of have a catchphrase in the Garden of Alchemy, which one day I say I'm going to have a t-shirt range made, which says "Go deep or go home." So everything about what I do here is about, it's not necessarily about hard, but it's about depth. It's about really getting into the roots, like really getting down into those building blocks of like what Vanessa is doing with the microbiome, what I'm doing with your consciousness, to look at like, where am I building my reality from? Because, and when we can start to tweak those foundational baselines, our whole baseline can raise, and from that our external reality shifts around us. So we don't need to do any change on the outside, we just need to do the change on the inside. So you're kind of getting 2 deep processes for the price of one. This is a kind of a big journey, even though we're just working with microdose and we're just working with these things. Like I was saying to Vanessa this morning, it's like when a boat, you move at 1 degree, like over time, that trajectory of change is going to be huge. So I've kind of gone off in my dyslexic mind, but that's a bit about me. Yeah, so I'll start to quiz Vanessa, because I know what I've gained from being on the receiving end of her work, and maybe she can share what she's gained being on the receiving end of my work, and then you can start to get a sense of what this is all about. So I'd really love to hear a little bit about why you think that this protocol that you've created is really good for people in our culture, in our systems. Like, why do this protocol, and what do you see as a result of working with the people that you've worked with, like as a variable that really creates change for them?
I think it's individual.
Mm.
I think it's the fact that I meet people individually in that process. And I think that's the difference. I think when you realize that actually the underlying root cause is the nervous system, and that's what dictates how I'm going to approach the protocol. And I think that's interesting about the mushrooms and how they intertwine, because that's working on that level as well from a plant medicine perspective. But from a gut health perspective, it's about approaching it really from an individual level. I don't know if there's anything else. That's the essence for me. And even though there's a structure to it and we're going through a similar journey, everybody's going to have something unique, because ultimately our microbiomes all look completely different. So if I were to do a gut test for every single person, it'll all have a completely different shape and makeup. And if I do a genetics test for somebody, I can see all the different little parts that we are, and we are not the same. We're just not the same. So for me, the uniqueness is that it's about a kind of, we're doing a journey, but we're moving with what's happening. And that's what I think for me is the most powerful thing about doing it now in this day and age, because there's an onslaught of so much stuff that we're navigating, and it has to be individualized.
And how even though we're doing a group journey, how are we bringing that individualization to this process?
By me being in connection with everybody.
And also
and communicating, this is how I'm feeling, checking in, and me also getting a sense, because we are doing a one-on-one session with each person before we do this journey, so that I can do a full like health history, so I know kind of what we're working with. And the thing it's actually adrenals. The adrenals is what makes this the unique journey. We have to just gently move with every person in that part of it.
Amazing. Amazing.
I don't know. Again, I don't know if I've covered everything you asked.
But... and I feel the same with, on a different approach with the work that I do. I think that we're so keen as a society to homogenize, and so much of our teachings have been this idea of like, we're sitting there, the teacher's in the classroom, and she's, we're all being taught to regurgitate the same thing. And now we're seeing with this kind of neurodiversity and all the differentiation that's coming up in the field of how different we all learn and absorb, and all of the healing that has to happen when we realize we're not these homogenized beings. We are these highly individualized and differentiated beings, and yet we are a communal system. We are a community, we're a species. And so learning how to do ourselves as individuals, how to tend to our entire insides, creates the framework of then how we relate to the other. And so by being in group dynamics, I really feel is the highest form of healing. But often people haven't done enough of the individualizational process to know themselves to be able to go into community. And so what I find around this journey is the fact that, we're going to be doing it online. You're going to be doing it from home. You're going to be creating a lot of these recipes. You're going to be with yourself. This is going to be your journey. You're going to be individualized. You can have extra support if you need extra support, but there's going to be the group then to reach into and see the repeating themes that happen, because as much as we are different and individualized, there is also that reassurance that there are lots of things that we can also relate to. And between me and Vanessa, I think we are great people of going through all the experiences. So I felt like when we went through our like little test run, I felt like the universe was like, hey, try this, 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 and this, and this. And I was like, oh, what is this? Like, I'm gaining some kind of empathy for like all the stuff that's going to come up in the field. It felt like I was just been processing so much stuff. And often as a space holder, that's my experience. I really live through things to gain empathy and understanding of all the different nuances of healing and how that shows up. So
Sorry, actually also something else popped in as well when I was thinking about it. I guess the other part, which I do find as a common thread from the clients that I've taken through, is that doing a reset is something that we all need to do. Because what this is about creating a baseline. So even though there's that individual approach, we all need to, like the seasonally, I think we spoke about it earlier. We all need that time where she rests, where the gut needs a rest, and things need to drop, and the body needs to go into its own healing mechanisms. And that is the best way to do that, is through doing a little bit of a fast.
Yeah.
And it's not about deprivation. It's not about cutting anything out. It's about resting the system and entraining the system to actually switch on these functions that we have that are self-healing functions. That if we're constantly in, I mean, you don't see it in nature, you just don't, it would perish. And in a way, that's one of the biggest things that I think is also really powerful about what this is. And it's not just because sometimes you could do like a green, you know, we've all done, I don't know, maybe not everybody has, but you've done like a green juice fast and it's for 5 days and you do your green juices. But what this is actually looking at how does it, like, what is it like from all of the elements? So from being the dropping of the reset, as in like when you're dropping in winter, and how you move through all of it, so that it looks more of a holistic approach to it. So it's not just a fast for 1 minute and then back into, how do you actually integrate all of those pieces and then build a strong baseline so that by then you have a microbiome that really supports you with strength. And then it's a bit easier to navigate. It's not about restriction. And it's not about long-term, like having to cut out all these things. It's not that. It's creating a strong baseline. Am I making,
Totally. And for me, I felt like when I was doing, and I feel like I have a good relationship with food anyway. And I felt like what really works is, you know, the accountability that comes in this journey, and really needing that holding when, and so some of the stuff we're going to do is like photograph our food and take it in, post it in. And it helps you start to look at your relationship to color, to texture, to like the sensory system. So lots of working with the elements is an activation of our sensory systems. So again, living in this world, we tend to have our sensory system dulled down, and part of healing is resensitizing. And we need that stillness and that beingness to be able to create spaciousness for that organic capacity to hear more, to notice more, to feel more. And in that process, what can come up is the trauma. What can come up is the places that blocked that, you know, as you have the, you know, the cells dying off, and you are creating that spaciousness, which on, you know, on a higher plane is stillness, relaxation, peace, but on a lower plane is a spaciousness to actually kind of purge, release, siphon through, you know, let go, bring to conscious awareness that which is living within your system anyway. And that needs a level of holding, not only from yourself, but in container. And so we've designed this journey to be able to give real permission for that, you know, and that's half the battle, to be able to kind of be like, it's normal. It's really normal to be feeling a lot on this journey. Yeah. Like for me, I feel a lot when I do these kind of cleanses, feelings that I haven't felt for a very long time, you know, that I thought I've overcome that feeling. Like I had a lot of anxiety come up for me on the last journey. And I used to live in a state of anxiety all the time. Like that was just my baseline. I didn't even know I was anxious until I wasn't anxious. So when it came up again, it was kind of, oh, that's a bit weird. Like I'm doing all this cleansing. I have nothing externally to be anxious about because I've slowed my life right down. And yet, so I could enter into that anxiety with the consciousness of the mushrooms to be like, okay, this is obviously living on a deep layer. So even though I've shifted a lot of my behaviors, I'm not creating kind of the external craziness that would create a lot of, you know, the anxiety. There's something being asked to heal with. And then as I was able to sit and allow life to do its thing, because this is the thing with a microdose journey. It's not like you're sitting in a yurt or in a maloka and you're taking a lot of medicine and you're having this journey. You're interfacing with reality all the time. And so what I bring to the table is the opening up of this idea of kind of really what we might call magic, but actually it's really just being able to see how the mechanics of reality work. So we start to look at this idea of, like, we talk about this energy of the field. And the field is like whatever's showing up in your field, in your reality, you know, be it your partner, be it your money situations, be it whatever it is. And so each week, as we're doing a container of that element, we look at it as a little holding of that element. And so let's say in earth, we're starting to really take out, let go of a lot of food substances that don't support us. And in that process, it can unearth from the underworld that anxiety, that fear, that whatever that's been trapped down in that space. And so from this space, we go to ceremony. And we have a morning practice and we have a weekly practice where we sit with that rather than run from that. And we feel that what needs to be felt. And we can bring inquiry to that of like, okay, curious, this is coming up. Can I give space for this? And then when we come back on our weekly calls, we have space to process that with the group. We each week will look at like, okay, what was the challenge showing up for you this week? Seeing that each week's like a microcosm of the macrocosm. So in the week of Earth, when we're microdosing and gut cleansing, you're going to have triggers, you're going to have activations, you're going to have challenges.
You might have a headache.
You might have a headache, you might have symptoms coming up. And rather than seeing them, we really embrace them in and go, ooh, these are our teachers. This is what's showing up in the field. And what is the lessons I can learn from this? And what is the gifts I can extract from this process? And then we move into the next week. And then over the course of the whole thing, we're able to see that there will be a certain thread running through the underworld. And some weeks will have more intensity than others because different elements have different energies. But with the power of intention, there is this magic that starts to happen where you're able to start to weave and connect the dots. And by the end of the journey, you realize you have been in a big plant medicine journey, not only with the psychedelics, but with the whole living plant world. And in that reality, you're able to be in a kind of humility, I would say, because it's not like an ecstatic feeling when you have to move through your challenges, but there's a right sizing. And then there's a motivation within your system to be able to know clearly what's right and wrong for you in life. And to really start bringing you back into your own sovereign powers and to be able to make decisions that aren't coming from this kind of more parasitical way of living in codependency with life. That's coming from an innate, like Vanessa said, wholeness within the system that orientates to wholeness on the external. And then on a higher perspective, your vibration rises. And from a rising of vibration, your attractor field changes. And then you start to live in sacred reciprocity, like oil would float above water. You live in the same reality as your brothers and sisters, but you're experiencing a different reality. You're experiencing more heaven on earth experience. And it's how to stabilize into those higher waves of reality that is completely dependent upon our relationship with our bioform. We can't do that without looking at the physical. We can take plant medicines, we can have the conscious awareness, we can meditate, we can transcend, but we can't stabilize unless our physical bodies come with us, because we are living on this third dimensional reality and we need to be able to be in coherence with all levels of consciousness. And that's the magic of combining these two, which I personally have not seen being done out there before. So I see that the work and the souls that me and Vanessa have are maybe slightly crazy, but we also are quite pioneering. We like to kind of break the mold, go beyond, but at the same time, not from a place of recklessness and carelessness, from a space of deep living this experiment and deep trial and error through our own lived experiences of why we've ended up on this path. So what else can I ask you? Yeah. So what kind of commitment to time, practice, if people are wanting to come on this journey and they know it starts September the 24th, like what kind of, like, can they function in their jobs? Like, how are they going to, what kind of, how can we paint the picture for them of what's going to be expected on this journey for them?
So in general, you need a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, we're going to send out a schedule.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if you've received it on a PDF already, it's basically the first, you can work and function, but you need a weekend, the first week, I think it's the first week, second weekend, that absolutely, you need to have space. It's not going to a wedding or something. You need to be taking that day because there will be a ceremonial broth fast in that space. So it is a sacred time to go into. So even if you have kids or you that kind of thing, is it's okay if you have to, but it's maybe nice to kind of see if you can take that day for yourself, to treat yourself with the utmost self-loving care, nourish yourself with massages, to walks on the beach, to that kind of really, really self-nourishing. So other than that, after that, maybe a couple of days, you might be a little bit like sensitive, and then it starts to shift. So to me, it's not that you can't function. You just have to be prepared to maybe feel a little bit low energy for about max a week and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Psilocybin might be slightly, that brings up another question, but in general, that's what I've encountered over all these people.
And it depends where you're at with cooking. And preparing food. Like if you're someone that lives off ready meals and you don't really enjoy cooking food, then this is going to be a sharp learning curve for you. If you're someone that already has a love of food, this is going to be a tweaking, creative, changing. Either way, there's going to be recipes included and there's going to be a space. So you're going to need to factor in time to prepare food. Yeah. So if you're not someone who has that in your life, and that can bring up all sorts of stuff. So you're already in process, And so we're going to advise the best of the best, we're going to advise an investment in buying organic food. We're going to have shopping lists, ideas, different things you're going to do. It's an opportunity for you to reset your cabinets, your relationship to food. It's like, for me as a creative, I freaking love it. Like when I get into this and I'm fully into this, I'm just loving the artistry that can come through this process. So, these stories we have of I'm not creative and it's all bullshit. Like we are all creative. It's just we didn't necessarily have the attunement as children into those environments. So I personally would like to bring back this idea of it's our birthright to be able to prepare and cook food. It's not something that some people do and other people don't do. It's if that's missing from your reality, that's a cornerstone of your psyche not intact. To be able to feed yourself and look after yourself, that is a primal building block for your reality, just as to be able to sleep, to be able to move, to be able to breathe. These are things that people go spending all this money and time trying to do everything but the basics. Yeah. And so that is going to be a time commitment. There will be stuff sent out before so you can start organizing and preparing. But, you're going to want to probably put in an hour at least a day to be cooking and getting your food ready. So you need to think of that if that's not something you've scheduled your life into. What also is going to happen in terms of bringing yourself is in the microdose course, we do this thing of we come on the first call and then you have a week to kind of prepare yourself until you actually start microdosing. And in that preparational week, you're doing some food stuff and you're getting all of that ready before we go into the broth fast and the soup days. So in that preparation week, we ask you to look at your sacred commitments. And this again helps you create a container for yourself, because what I realized is I was trying to put courses on and people's lives are so busy and they were doing half the course content and not really showing up. So I was like, okay, how can I get people to fully immerse themselves in this experience? And so I created these sacred commitments. And so we look at 3 areas of our lives. We look at our relationship to digital, because that's such a big thing, diet, which we're doing, and our practice. And so in our digital, we're also doing a detox. Yeah, because part of this journey is about creating spaciousness for healing to happen. And the problem with us nowadays is we have too much noise. We have too much sensory input coming in. And so there's going to be an invitation and you get to create that commitment. So it's not like I'm saying, okay, you can't go on your phones and you can't do this. You're going to feel into what your edge is. So you're going to create your own commitment. I'm not going to go on my phone after 6 p.m. in the evening. I'm going to come off social media for the duration of this journey. I'm only going to watch TV that's inspiring and whatever. You pick those things. It's not us. We're just going to give you an education on why it is important. And if you actually keep to these commitments, which you won't, you're going to fall off the horse and get back up again. And that's part of the learning. They will create the space needed. So you don't have this excuse of, I don't have time to cook my thing. And I did it. It's often because we just say yes to too many things and we don't have, and that's part of the clearing process. That's part of releasing. So as Vanessa approaches the food and the clearing, I'm going to ask you to approach the clearing of your space, physical space, decluttering of your cupboards, your wardrobes, your noise, your just, that's going to all align. So we're looking at cleansing and rebuilding and resetting in a whole of your life. Yeah. So you're going to be busy, even though you're going to be asked to do nothing. And in the asking to do nothing, you're going to be asked to be sitting every morning for half an hour minimum, if not more, with a candle, with a cup of tea, being able to create some spaciousness to digest and assimilate this process that we're creating for you. And once a week, you'll be asked to do sacred ceremony with yourself, which will be based around a different element, which will be an hour to 2 hours of your time, which is when you drop into really learning how it is to sit and create ceremony for yourself. And so hopefully after 7 weeks of doing this, your nervous system builds a relationship with these habits and you start to bring this into a long-term way of being. And for all the people that I've worked with over the years, the single thing that I get feedback on all the time that has changed their life has been around having a morning practice. And I can do all this fancy trauma stuff and all of this, whatever, but just building the simple habit into your life of having time for yourself is easier said than done. And so being in a container, having accountability, being held in it's a very strong container. Yeah. So you can really lean into the structure of this container. You can then unpack, unravel and let yourself go more into the feminine energies so that then when you reset and rebuild, you're in better harmony with the aspects of yourself. If that makes any sense. Yeah. So it's a commitment. It's a commitment. And I would like to say the word devotion comes to me. It's a practice of devotion to yourself, and it's not very long. It's 7 weeks. So what are the long-term gains of doing this protocol, with this program, with this course? What are the long-term gains in the fact, if you show up and you sign in for this, you're going to have this experience once, but what do you think?
I mean, you can take this and redo it. And this is one of the things I've certainly found in my just the work I've been doing with clients is a baseline. You create a stronger baseline that, I don't know, I mean, just thinking about it, so a few flashes are coming in my head of like where you can sometimes start and what it just does over the years, especially when you've maybe incorporated it twice a year even, so you can redo this. It's yours to take. So that's the power of it. We're creating a stronger baseline, and there's no going back to that. It really does help reset. And when I use that word reset, it really is a reset. You just can't undo that work that you've done. Doesn't mean life's perfect after that and you just like on green smoothies. It just means that you've created a foundation that you now and that you can always come back to. And I think it's for that reason, it's super powerful.
And after I did 1 or 2 being held by Vanessa, now I do it on my own. And I've got all the, the same with the microdose. The whole idea with the microdose course was actually people were just taking them like supplements. They'd read, oh, they're good for anxiety or they're good for depression. And they were still using them with the level of consciousness, which is the way we use pharmaceuticals, which is in a very giving my power away rather than reclaiming my power. And so I wanted to teach people to microdose in a way that's kind of like a plant medicine journey, not just because you can't just take these things and think that healing depression from the mushrooms hasn't anything to do with shifting your traumas and your consciousness. It's not just a physical thing. It's a multifaceted thing. And if you want to make change in a long term, you have to shift the neurology. You can't just do the short-term effect of taking the medicine. Yeah. And so that's where the habits come in. That's where the change comes in. That's whatever.
And doing that commitment for 7 weeks for sure.
Yeah. So twice a year, I would say, once you've got this, you've got a spring and autumn cleanse protocol that you can do on your own. And that each time you do it, you'll have a different relationship with the medicines. You can buy more medicine. You are then self-equipped to self-heal should you need some extra support. We're here. And the whole idea with this is, yes, it's a financial investment, but in a long game, you're not dependent upon us. You know, this is something that you can reset yourself, reset your families. And so the idea of our work and the idea of all my work has always been about like not creating dependency in my clients, not becoming that kind of follower type. It's like, it's not that complicated. Once you've done it once or twice, it's empowering to be able to know how to heal yourself. And you join a community, like you join the Garden of Alchemy community, you join Vanessa's community. And in that, you surround yourself with like-minded people that, you know, there's forums, there's cacao ceremonies, there's broth fasts, there's retreats, there's ongoing support that you're stepping into a lifestyle and a coherence around other like-minded people. And, you know, the other thing I just wanted to say is, there are some of you who will come that actually have symptoms, that are struggling with physical ailments, and, you know, that can be addressed. But there are also some of you who might be actually feeling quite good in your life, and there's nothing really that wrong. And actually, what I'm learning with medicines is that's a really good time to do this kind of work, because what we get to do at such a deep level is preventional work. We get to prevent stuff developing. So on some levels, we'll never know if we get really healthy what we've avoided. Yeah, we'll never know. But, you know, you only need to go and look at a hospice. You only need to go and look at our medical health care. And if that doesn't give you a kick up the arse to do this work, I don't know what does. But for me, it's like, I want to be dancing to my grave. I want to not be sitting. And so I'm going to do as much as I can in my life to live the healthiest life. And yeah, it's a bit of work and it's a bit of an effort. And I got to feel a lot of stuff and, you know, I got to focus. But the long-term gains of it are just so worth it. And I think this is just protocols that just should be integrated within the way we live our lives. So that's why we do what we do. Yeah. So I think we've kind of covered everything that we can think about. So I'm going to, hand it over. Lottie, if you got any cute questions that's come up, anything you want to ask us, just unmute if you do.
It's developed a lot from that, but no, there's only really that major focus. That's what I'm saying. That major focus in terms of like really preparing and recipes and is about 2 weeks. And then it is freestyle, but freestyle in a way that we're in that container.
Yeah.
And of course, and so it isn't like there is going to be that creative energy coming in, because we're going to be building into diversity. So I'm giving lists of different foods. I've like, you know, if you want to try this thing, and this could be quite fun to start exploring different recipes, but especially I've not done it in a group container. So this is going to be really fun, because that could be really inspirational in terms of the stuff we come up with. But no, it's not, it's only really that I'm not going to, what's the word to use it? What's the word? I don't want to use restriction because that's not the right word, but it is, it's focused over only in that particular period, because we've got to do the broth fast and 3 days of soups. And that is just a really important aspect of sticking to it. Yeah. Because I want to go in and reset. And I don't, you can talk about the mushrooms.
And it is still like, you know, for someone who's new to this stuff, like, I think like Vanessa, like thinks that that's really hard, but I think just to create consistency and regularity around like balancing your plate, you know, sourcing your ingredients, managing your time, getting your food, that takes like weeks to bed in, you know. And so it just gives you a container where you're not just doing the cleansy bit and then back in the world. You're really habitually building this in. So like each time I do this cleanse, like I you know, I go back to having my odd coffee and I go back to allowing, you know, the thing, but like she talks about, this baseline improves because I'm learning more and more what I can eat. So I'm not tempted to do the old patterning so much. But also the way it's designed is that because we have this elemental course alongside it, the first bit of the course for most people will be physical. Yeah, it'll be the symptoms coming up. It'll be the headaches. It will be the the thing. And that's the stuff will focus your capacity to sit with, to learn to read the body, to, whatever. As the course moves on, it's almost like the physical starts to petter off and the emotional and spiritual start to take off, because then we have time with healthy food. We've done the cleanse to really let the mushrooms start to help us do the deeper healing work, because now our system is able to hold capacity to heal, because we can't actually heal until we've got capacity in our system. And I say to people in the 7 weeks, if you miss 2, that's okay, but really a commitment is needed, because it's not like a course that you just record. It's just like we're in ceremony with each other. So yeah, like you do need to make that available if you want to show up for this journey. And I just wanted to speak to, because I know people are going to be listening to this recording. So it's quite a big a financial investment, and on top of that will be your food and supplementation and things you need for this journey. And so if people want to book in, we are, but depending if you've come through Vanessa or myself, you can reach out privately to us, and we can create payment plans for those of you on low income or struggling to be able to pay that out, or a deposit and a full payment is available before the course starts for anybody who's interested. So I always say with these things to try and not let money get in the way, because ironically it's often the thing that we get trapped in. And I've noticed that as my health has got better, my currency has improved. So there is a direct correlation between abundance on all levels. So I always say to people, the most important thing is to feel into if it's a full body yes from your body, and just following that yes and trusting that the universe will provide, and we will do our very best to make it affordable and possible for you, if that's something that feels exciting and turns you on, and you just visualize yourself there. We make things happen in life if we want to. So it's all about timing and trusting the process. And again, if it's a no for you, that's totally cool. You know what we do, you know where to find us. So just wanted to put that out there about that. This is a group and privately, and then we're going to just see how this goes. But it doesn't start till the 24th of September. So if something you really wanted to do, again, 1 or 2 calls is okay in the 7 weeks, but majority show up, and where there's a will, there's a way. So, I know I'm a mom, I got 2 kids, these are these times, and just feel into if it's just a no, because life presents too many variables that block us, it's a no. If doors and things flow, yes, it's as soon as you start to think about doing a process, the process starts working you. As soon as you put your initial deposit in, you're in, even though it might not start till the 24th of September. There's something about, like, our intention for this is to rewild the garden. Yeah, our mission, be it in our own universal ways, is to bring individuals back into harmony with themselves and the living earth. That's our intention. If that intention resonates with you, you will be drawn into this container. If that's part of a contract on some higher level you've already made, you will be here. The fun bit is figuring out, should I be there or not? And when you do put your deposit, if you put your deposit, that's when the real medicine happens. And spend time in ceremony, sit with yourself, meditate, ask yourself, is this for the highest good of myself? We don't want anyone to be here out of coercion or manipulation. We want people to be here because it's a full yes in their body. And the good news about this particular group is because it's new, we haven't done it before, so it's probably going to be small. And that means you're going to get a lot of individualized holding. So, just to put that out there, that there's something kind of special about being in the seeding of something that really creates the future of something else, if that makes any sense. So I think we're going to close the space today. I'm just going to put a little closing prayer and Feel free to email or message us if you've got any more questions. But thank you, Lottie, for being our sounding board today.
Thanks.
So let's just take a nice deep breath in, breathing in and just releasing. And just giving gratitude and thanks to all of the energies circulating in today's field. We give thanks to Gaia Pachamama. And we give our prayers to give service to this beautiful world in these times. May we be peacekeepers in these times, reconnectors, remembrance of this beautiful Eden that we live on. May we take care of the mother within so that we may take care of the mother without. May we be the change we wish to see in the world. And may the discipline and devotion needed to carry us through to the next level of our expansion be seeded within this container. May we be blessed, may we be loved, and may we be free. And so it is. Amen. Blessed beings, so much love. Thank you so much.